So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be taking these lines, these drawings that we've created in vector graphics in Aspire, and we're going to be turning those into toolpaths that the CNC machine can understand, right? So firstly, we'll get away from drawing and we'll move over to the toolpaths section. Now you probably noticed that my phone shape has changed a little bit. So I've just added in this little kick out here on the side so that I can put my thumbs in and press the power and volume buttons. And also it's just going to make it a little bit easier to get the phone out. And I've added in the circle, so that's going to be a slightly deeper pocket that goes in the back, just because there's a little ring thing on the back of my phone case. So that's what that is. Right, so where we start with pockets, it's always a good idea to start with pockets and do them first. So I'm going to select the outline there. If you select it once and there's a bunch of other lines there and they don't all join up, what you want to do is you want to select them all by holding down Shift and selecting them all and then joining them together using this particular join tool here. However, ours do happen to be all joined together, so all good. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we use our pocket toolpath. This is the profile one, which is what we use for the other ones. But as we're doing a pocket, which means we're cutting into it and we're cutting all of that section out, we'll use the pocket toolpath tool. Start depth, all right, that's basically saying that you're going to be starting at the, it's going to start cutting at the top of the sheet. And this, so this should always be 0. Now the cut depth is basically the thickness of your phone. So I'm just going to get my calipers here and measure mine. And my phone happens to be 10 millimeters, including the phone case, right? So that's that. So it's going to be cut it down to 10 mil deep. Now the tool, we want to select the tool that we want. Now we're going to be using the end mill, and it is going to be 6 millimeters. Because we are metric. Right now it's really important to make sure that we just change the pass depth. We change that to 2 millimeters, oh not 20, 2 millimeters. Now what that means is that every time it's going to cut out a section, it's going to cut out 2 millimeters at a time, then it's going to drop down, then it's going to cut out another 2 millimeters at a time. So we just want to apply that and go OK. It's always good to just check that and open it up and make sure all of the other settings are okay. Now, all of this should be, all of the rest of the settings, the spindle speed and the feed rate, they're preset and they should be 1200 RPM. The only thing that you really need to adjust is the pass depth. Okay, now, we're not worrying about using the large area clearance tool because we're using the end mill tool. And for this pocket, it doesn't really matter which one of these settings are. Just the default setting of climb and offset is perfectly fine. All right, so you can change it so that it does it as a raster, but we're just doing it offset, which is completely fine. Pocket allowance, we only use that if we're going to be having something set inside of that, which we're not, so don't worry about that. Everything else is completely fine. So we're just going to go and name it. So pocket phone. All right. So what we've got now is we've got this pocket phone down in the bottom, and that thing that popped up initially was the preview toolpath. So if I click on preview toolpath, it'll show me this in the preview view. I reset the preview, and I preview the toolpath, it's going to go around and cut it, and it shows me that it looks roughly like that. Now, interestingly, it didn't cut out all of that toolpath down the bottom there, so I'm just going to go back in there and have a look at that and figure out why. I think I know why. So I'm just going to open up this tool, and I'm just going to make a slightly larger section there. So if we just make that 6.5, oh, 6.5 millimeters wide, click on that, we go close, and we click, and align that up so it's roughly the center. Do a little bit of tidying up there. Slightly off center, but that will be fine. Okay, so I've just adjusted that now. So if I click on this toolpath, I'm just going and open that toolpath up again and recalculate that. Oh, telling me that I haven't selected them. Toolpath 0.2. I calculate that. And if I now reset that preview and preview the toolpath, it'll show me that it does go all the way down the bottom there now. Okay, so it looks like that 6mm just wasn't quite enough. It just needed to be a little bit wider for it to give it a little bit of wiggle room for it to go down then back up again. So that's good to know, 6.5mm for there. So that's created the that pocket. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the outline here. So for cutting it around the outside, I want to firstly select the toolpath, and then I will select the profile toolpath section. Now we're starting it at 0 again because it starts on the top of the drill bits. The end mill bit starts at the top of the sheet, and the material itself is 18mm deep, and I want to cut all the way through that. So I'm just going to change that to 18.5. So I'm going to ask it to cut 18.5mm deep. That's going to mean if there's any variation on the board, it's going to cut all the way through that. Oop, I select that. Okay. Now, again, we just select that end mill tool bit. Now, because we applied our changes to the path depth, they should be applied. So we just go OK. And that is precisely what it needs to be because we've already done that. Now here, with our machine vectors, it's going around it's got the outside, so it's going around the outside of the path. So if I wanted to cut it out inside of it, I'd cut that one there, and we'll be doing that with this particular one down here because we're cutting it out from the inside. But with this one, we're cutting around the outside. And importantly, we also want to add some tabs. So I'm just going to make those tabs 4mm thick. And then we can edit where the tabs go. We're going to want to have 4 tabs, 1 on each 4 straight walls. So I've changed the number of tabs to that, and we go add tabs. Right, so we're just going to move each one of those to where we want it. Not going to worry about having a consistent distance because it's not a consistent shape. And we go close. We've got those. We don't need to worry about ramps, leaders, and orders and starting things like that. So, so I'm just going to go main outside because it's the main section and it's the outside of the main outside. You calculate that, and this is where our warning pops up. Now, this warning here is only telling us that what it's telling us is that the material is 18mm thick, and that the tool depth that I've asked it to cut is 18.5. Now this is, for us, is not a problem because we have a sacrificial layer of MDF underneath our bed. However, if we were just screwing it straight to the, or clamping it straight to it, that would be a problem. But because we do have a sacrificial layer underneath, that is fine. So this is precisely okay. We say okie doke, and it's fine. Now it's always good to reset all of our toolpaths and preview all of them again. And this is what our final section looks like here. We've got our pocket for our phone cut all the way out, and we've got the path going all the way around the outside there. Cool. All right, so that's pretty much all we need to know. We're going to close that, go back to our 2D view, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a profile cut for this one here. However, this one's going to be inside. And then when we do this one here, it's just going to be outside, and it's also going to be, and they're both going to be 18.5. and we're just going to make sure that we include tabs in all of those. And all of those tabs are 3mm thick, and that should be absolutely fine. Okay, I've completed all of the toolpaths now, and I've put them in order. Now that's an important thing to know. So I've ordered them from the pockets, from the inside pockets to the outside pockets, and you'll see that as I preview them here. So if I press play and it cuts out that phone pocket, it'll do that. Oh, I'll do all of the pockets, eh? So it'll cut out that phone pocket, and then it'll do the ring pocket, which is next, and then underneath that one there, it'll go through that bottom section that cuts into that. So it'll do this little wallet pocket here, and then I'll go around and do the outside. So I've put them in order of what I want them to cut, and then I'll go from there. Now, in the next video, I'll show you how to save it into G code so that the CNC machine can actually understand it, and we can go from there. Of course.